Hello everyone, welcome to our Let's Play series of Underrail Expedition. This is Girl RPG as usual, and I'm very happy that you're chose to join me today as we talk not to Maurice, but to Calais. You see this person nonchalantly watching over other people in the courtyard. He has a self-satisfied smile on his face while eyeing everyone around him, and he also seems to hold his chin steadily elevated, as if posing for a sculptor to transfer it onto an elaborate bust. Interestingly, he seems astonished when you come near him and attempt to start a conversation. Your approach is met with a puzzled gawk, followed by him looking down at his body for some unknown reason, as far as you're concerned. He then lifts his head up and speaks to you. You can see me? Yep, you seem pretty visible to me. He ponders for a moment and then responds, "The only reasonable explanation for you being able to see me must be that you possess some special gift. Some special power, mortal. Yes, that must be it." So that's good to know. Who are you anyway? I am Kale, the Lord of Invisibility. I'm the only one who has truly mastered the art of being in a state of gone, complete invisibility to the naked eye. Gone is the proper term for such a state, and it was I who came up with it. That does sound like the wrong term, actually, because when you're gone, you can't see things. When you're gone, you're not there, so you can't see the things that are around. And, he can. I'm gonna laugh. Well, it ain't working, pal. He frowns. You know what? I've no wish to speak to you anymore. I will not be laughed at, nor ridiculed by a mere mortal. Goodbye. That doesn't have an hyphen. Can I actually not? Did I do a bad thing? Let's save scum the face out of him, because I want to do the nice things. Except, I will have laughed at him either way. So, who are you? And it sounds pretty cool. Let's go with that. It does not. Of course. I can see how such divine things can impress a mortal being such as yourself. Yes. Would you be so kind to tell me your name? It's Carrie. My name is Carrie, and I am Carrie as well. Coincidence? Maybe not. Carrie, you say? A mortal name indeed. Well, is that a threat? Let's talk about that gift of yours, shall we? Yeah, this is why you save scum, because you can easily lock yourself out of quests by just being not insane. Because this guy clearly, I mean, he's next to the tortoise. That he probably's got like some brainwashing going on or something. Tell me of this gift of yours. When did you first notice you were able to see invisible people? I'm not gonna say the right thing. If you can see someone, then oh, well, I guess both of them are saying that he's not invisible. If you can see someone, then they're not invisible. Because, that's just, yeah, that is true. You don't seem to understand the question. Working with mortals is painful. Let's try it like this. I am invisible. You can see me. Therefore, since common mortals can't see me, but you can, you must have some special ability that allows you to do so. That is the only logical conclusion. And if you... He stops speaking. As his eyes shift away from you, he begins scratching his beard that he doesn't have. Maybe it's some other... It's his armpits. Soon after... He points his finger at you and speaks. I understand now why you're so confused. You haven't had the opportunity to see an invisible person before, or because there wasn't an invisible person to see. What? You cannot answer my question about first noticing you had a gift that allows you to see invisible people, because you never had the opportunity to see an invisible person. I, Kale, the Lord of Invisibility, and am the first invisible person you were able to see, and that is why the existence of your gift seems to perplex you so much. Now, you sort of had it in the previous paragraph. The real reason would be because if you saw them, then you wouldn't think they were invisible, so you wouldn't know that you were seeing a, quote, invisible person, because Well, if they're visible to you or otherwise, they're not invisible as an intrinsic quality. Because I don't actually know the terms, but I do know what an intrinsic quality means. There's another type of quality that's like a circumstantial quality, I think it is. Like you can be invisible. Like literally you that are listening to me, you can be invisible to somebody by just being away from their line of sight. That is you're being invisible. But that is I think it is like a circumstantial quality. It might have another word, because the opposite of that, or not the opposite, the converse of that type of quality is a weird word. It's intrinsic. It comes from interest, but it's kind of complicated to explain. Or interest comes from the same word. Either way, the point is an intrinsic quality is a quality that is like it always exists. It's always there to you. And it's intrinsic because it's also part of your definition of you, but we don't need to get into that. In this case, it's part of your definition of invisibility. So when you're intrinsically invisible, then it means that if you're not invisible, then something changes, basically. I'm sort of simplifying it and not explaining it very well, but the point is, you cannot see intrinsically invisible people. It's impossible, because they are invisible. Intrinsically so. You see what I mean? Because you cannot see them. Invisible means unseeable. It's just a different way of saying it. In some languages, it's even easier to understand this, because invisible comes from you cannot vis something, and vis that's where visual comes from. It's the I don't actually know if that's the verb in Latin. I don't think it is the verb in Latin, but yeah, it's unviewable. It would be the correct. Or not the correct, the closest literal translation to the original word, but either way, he lost it. He lost it halfway through. For one to know if he's capable of if they are capable of seeing invisible people, they must first see someone who is invisible, so that their mind can confirm that they have seen someone invisible. Have seen. But since they could never see anyone invisible because there wasn't anyone invisible to see, then that one is unaware of their ability to see invisible people. So when they finally have oh right, because of they have an invisible person to see, and they see them, the person. They don't attribute that to the fact that they are able to see invisible people, but consider the invisible person anyway to be visible for everyone. That's not the point. Yeah, he's just weird and bad. He's bad. He's a bad person. But that still doesn't answer how you were able to see me, or the origin of your gift, mortal. Well, since you seem to have no freaking clue what I'm even talking about, I suppose you won't be of much help. So we must better leave it at this. I'll just disregard you as an anomaly and stop concerning myself with it. No, I understood what you said. I did, but let's talk about something else, if we must. So if you call everyone mortal, does that mean you are immortal? That's a good question. No, it does not mean that. It might be that he is immortal indeed, in his eyes anyway, but let's find out. But of course, I am special. Do you think this ability that was bestowed upon me would fit a mortal man? Just wasted once I... No, wait. What? Just wasted once I killed the Lord of Invisibility. Perishes? That is one sentence. No, that is not how these things work, mortal, and I don't expect you to understand. This dialogue has got a lot of weird shenanigans. How can you be so sure? You and your mortal questions. How are you so sure? I am sure because what I possess should not be possessed by a mortal man. And if it is not for mortal men, then I am not mortal. Or, I suppose, a man, but I suppose I am, so that doesn't work. And well, I just so happen to be a woman, so maybe that could play a role in that. Anyway, do you understand? He asks. But why exactly shouldn't a mortal man have the power to be invisible? There's many reasons for that. But, he says, because mortal people are regular people. Men all the more so, apparently. Common men cannot enter the state of gone. And I mean, they can. They are, if they are gone, then they are gone. This person is bad and dumb as bricks. I, killed the Lord of Invisibility, am special, and enter the state of gone, therefore I am not mortal. Simple logic, mortal. It is simple logic. Simplistic logic. It is, how would you call that? It is valid logic, in fact. It is still, no, is it valid logic or is it a valid argument? It is a valid argument, but not a grounded argument, because you're just basing it off of, like, assumptions, really, at this point. It's just a lot of the assumptions. Like, if both of your, what's the word? I don't know, logic. I didn't study any of that. But if your assumptions are correct, then your logic is correct as well. Oh, I mean, your logic is correct either way, but your conclusion is correct. But the problem is the assumptions are bad, and this person is bad. Can you tell me about your invisibility? And gone, apparently. It might be too much for your mortal brain to handle, so I'll explain it to you in mortal terms. I was born special. Born different. That's different. That's the song. Anyway, when I was 5, I noticed that when I focused really, really hard, I could become invisible. People walked past me like I wasn't there. Like I was completely gone. And the older I got, the easier it became for me to enter the state of gone. Therefore, I entered it more often, naturally. But by now, I have pretty much perfected my craft. Well, you can see me, but you must possess something special that allows you to do so. What if people just ignored you? Impossible! It would mean that all those mortals that had to know exactly when I was focusing really hard to enter the state of gone, and then simultaneously decide to ignore me. That sounds, well, like I'm a terrible person. That's what it sounds like. The only logical explanation is that I became truly invisible to them. And why did you call it gone? Because that's not what it is. I liked the way it sounded. Gone. Gone. Don't you hear the majesticness? Majesticness. That's the word. No? Never mind then. Can you tell me? Yeah. Why are you here, and why are you here? Because we talked about this. That's the only question I need to ask. I am here to show my power to the Detritus. Unlike you mortals, I can go everywhere without being detected by mortal eyes. I'm special. With that said, I believe these Detritus, who seem to love praising powerful entities. It's just the one powerful entity, but I'm a bad person, so I just generalize and assume that anyway, should be presented with an invisible man. As soon as I decide to reveal myself, they will most certainly praise me, and I will be granted entry into this glorious building. Why Detritus, though? Couldn't you find someone else to praise you? Filth! I, killed the Lord of Invisibility, dislike everything Underrail has to offer. Everything but the Chort Institute. Or whatever it's called. Anyway, this building is worthy of being my residence, and so it shall be. Once Detritus see the invisible man, me! They must live in abundance, and I deserve only the best. Which is, on its face, a bad argument, I realize, but never mind, because of the abundance. It's like the whole traditional way of looking at it, like quantity versus quality. It's abundance means quantity, the best means quality. I'm a silly person and bad to boot, so either way. Well, I hope that answers your question. That answers you, maybe. What do you know about the Detritus? While they are mere mortals, which usually are... Oh, I'm sorry. What, is that the correct witch this time? It might be. Yes, it is the correct witch. So, I don't know if I went back to this discussion, but I actually looked it up. I think I did. I did talk about it. There's ways for you to know, like, easily whether to use which or what. And I find it interesting that this game actually mixes which with what, or sorry, not what, that, which is also you can say what instead of that. But using the word which or using the word that is a little bit confusing as far as I know to English native speakers, apparently. It isn't difficult to me. I remember learning it in school, And we didn't really raise a big fuss, and people, as far as I know, that don't really even use which very often, unless they are specifically using, like, it's easy, I suppose maybe because Portuguese has a different grammar and a similar word to both which and to the word that, we have an easier time with a distinction. Maybe that's why. So maybe the, Croatian? Maybe Croatian has maybe the same word for which and that, which definitely would confuse the heck out of people. The distinction between which and the word the distinction between the word which and the word that is more or less what I said. I just used it very badly. So the way it works is that you use the word that when you're the way I said it, and when you're defining the specific thing that you're referring to, rather than all of the things that are similar to the words that you're referring to. So in this case, it's just it's weird to use the word which. You can use it, as far as I know, but you should really use the word who, because it's referring to people. Yeah, you should say the word who, because look at this. While they aren't mere mortals, who usually aren't worth my time. Do you see how much easier, how much better, how much correct that sentence sounds? That's the one. But in this case, I think which applies, and that's why it was confusing me. But the way for you to know if which or that, if you can use one or the other, is try using it without the word at all. So while they are mere mortals, usually not worth my time. So you have to change the structure a little bit of the sentence, and that can confuse a little bit. But anyway, while they are mere mortals, usually not worth my time, this sentence works perfectly. You know, because you're just eliminating that. So if you can eliminate that word, it means that you need to use which, or in this case, who. But that is not the same type of word. In English, there's a type of word. I learned it like this, but native speakers will, or people who learned English in a different way will have maybe different terms. But the WH words are very specific and very they have a very special place in the grammar of English. And that, the word that, is not a WH word. And a WH word is basically, WH, a word that starts with WH. And there is an exception to that, which is the word how. And did you see me use the word which right there, by the way? That is correct. I could have said there's an exception to that, the word how, or it is the word how. Anyway, I used which properly in that what I just said. But anyway, the word how is also a WH word, and I don't know why it is, but I mean it works the same in grammar. It's a type of word that mixes words, sentences together. Whereas the word that is a specific. It has a specific term for it in grammar, but I don't know the term for what it is. It's like a conjunctive or something. It's probably a conjunctive. Actually, thinking about it, probably is the correct term, but I don't know if it is. And it's the type of it's a type of connection between two sentences that creates dependency on the sentences rather than just stringing sentences together. Grammar is an interesting thing, and I'm not the best person to talk about it. Although I did study quite a lot of languages, or not quite a lot of languages. I studied languages. I'm not a linguist, though. Anyway, Kel continues. While there are mere mortals who usually aren't worth my time, these shortists seem very religious to me. They praise this short something, and that's all I know about them. Now, once I show them what I, Kel the Lord of Invisibility, am capable of... Invisibility? Well, of course. Do I have to, quote with space, explain everything to you, mortals? Where was I? Oh, never mind. Sure. What do you know about the shortists? While they are... Yes. I forget, halfway through his dialogue, I forget what I actually asked, because he's talking about what he's gonna do once he shows them his invisibility. And the question is actually, what do you know about the shortists? So the questions and the answers are not as related as you think, as you would think, but it is normal speech that it works like that. People do meander, especially when they have huge dialogues. Did you perhaps see any of the shortists carrying a strange artifact? It looked like a A 20-sided polyhedron? I don't remember seeing what you described, no. To be honest, most of the time I don't concern myself with mortal affairs. It is beneath me. Yes. Goodbye, mortal. So that didn't lead anywhere. However, we got to learn that about that person. The bad person. It's the bad person. There's a bunch of man around. Look at this man. He angrily waves something. Yeah. Look at that. I'm not interested in talking to you. And we got the what person. The filthy and foul-smelling old man. You... A what? Oh, gives you a wicked stare akin to a serpent's. But one with a slight mental... Then people just have... He has mental problems. There's a lot of concern about that in this particular area. Interesting. Afterwards, space. They should have concerned themselves more with the space. That's an easy fix. Seriously, you just search and replace. Search space, replace it with the space. Search it again, just in case you have 3 spaces in a row, and you got to go. Anyway, he opens his mouth so wide, it makes him look like he's about to vomit. He doesn't, thankfully, but he still holds the expression, saying nothing at any point during his peculiar introduction. Are you okay? What? I asked if you were okay. What? Can you understand what I'm saying? What? He's hard of hearing. That's what he is. I give up. Goodbye. What? Yeah, the person who wrote this, I would say maybe they're what's his name? I forget his name. Kale. Kale is the person who wrote this area. It's probably what it is. Not what it is, because what is the name of that person over there. Oh, I see the joke. I see. Foundry worker. Ooh, got foundry workers all the way out here. Why? That's weird. Oh, I thought I was going to be able to open both doors. Detritus. Oh, I remember having fun with this person. I like the name anyway, so maybe that's what I remember. I like the name, so I remember Detritus here. You approach a young man standing next to a barrel full of boiling soup. That doesn't smell nearly as life-threatening as it looks. So, it's another example. If you use that, you're referring to the soup, and the soup doesn't smell nearly as life-threatening as it looks. And if you say which, you're referring to him standing, because what you're saying is that, like, you approach a young man standing next to a barrel full of boiling soup, which doesn't smell, but like standing next to a boil, but it doesn't smell standing. Yeah, you see what I mean? Like that's yeah. Anyway, he wears old, worn-out, but clean clothes that look like they could easily disintegrate should he stand next to a passing train. We need comas everywhere. Please get comas. This game misses comas all over the place. His physique, on the other hand, I love the comas there, is much more solid. Handsome, with a burly body covered in clear, uniformly toned skin. That, combined with his unusually milky white teeth, makes him look like he was created to simply stand still and look good. His calloused and heavily scarred hands, however, imply the opposite. Does it? I need something. Hey, good looking, I'm Carrie. Interested in a little chat? I can't say no. I'm Detritus, and it's a pleasure to meet you, Carrie. What did you want to chat about? What can you tell me about yourself? All the things. I want to chat about all the things. At first, he seems a bit uneasy about the question, but then he decides to answer it. I'm a simple zoner from Core City who's searching for something better in life. Heard of Drop Zone? I lived there my whole life. Awful place to live in. Awful people. Awful food. I bet you have the good people over here and the good food. If you can, well, they do have the good food back there, so maybe that's what he's referring to. If you can get your hands on some, and in general... Oh, right, because even if you can get your hands on some, and in general, it's awful. Was there anything good about the zone for you? Family, I suppose. Nothing else really comes to mind. But the zone enjoys taking away good things from you. Plague swept my whole family away. Father, mother, capital M, granddad, capital G. 5 sisters and 2 brothers, but not capitalized, though, because they suck. All of them older than me. That's why they suck. All gone. It is usually easy to lose life in the drop zone, but that plague, that was pure evil. It was evil. You mean it was on purpose? Or people didn't help you on purpose? Yeah, a hardcore plague dominated half the zone several years ago. Not a lot of folks know about the plague, because no one really cares what happens in the drop zone. Yes, it was evil. But as zoners... Well, the drop zone is evil, to be honest, but then so is the core city in its entirety. But as zoners, we care. I care. My dearests are gone because of that pipe-working plague. How'd you manage to survive? Luck. It must be luck, because I don't have an explanation why death decided to spare me. I mean, I've never been ill in my whole life, ever. No colds, let alone something more serious. Then I guess luck wouldn't play as much of a role, would it? If you have never been ill. It might have been that makes you immune to the plague. That's interesting. Maybe you are immune to the plague somehow. Have you ever been to a doctor? Doctor? No, I'm a zoner, remember? We don't have universal basic healthcare, or healthcare at all. But you don't understand it. You come from a different world, you. I don't know where I come from. I suppose SGS, but I don't know if I was born there. It's all just luck. Everything in life is about having luck. That's what I learned. You can be good at something, sure, but if you are unlucky, then that's that. Like, unlucky for being born in the drop zone? Because that's not really about life. I mean, it's like the luck of the draw of your life. It's not really... It's like one of the fundamental aspects of you leaving. It's the being born bit. Nothing helps, he says. Look at my hands. I've been working like a slave my whole life, and everything I've earned can easily be chucked down pipeworks. It's miserable. I was lucky enough to survive the plague, but unlucky with everything else. He shrugs, drifting off for a moment. After taking a deep breath, he continues. Anyway, enough of that. Got any more questions? I do. But I also have the end of the episode, so I'm not going to be able to ask you more questions right now. So for right now, I'm Girl RPG, and this has been Underrail Expedition. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead, leave a comment, like the video if you want to see the next episode come out sooner rather than later, but above all, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you next episode. Bye-bye.